The wind cut through the small town like a blade, carrying the sound of distant church bells and the smell of pine and snow, but nothing felt warm to Marcus Hale that Christmas Eve afternoon. He stood outside the grocery store parking lot, one hand gripping a thin paper bag of discounted bread, the other holding his 7-year-old son's mittened hand, when he noticed them. An elderly couple sat on a metal bench near the bus stop, daylight fading slowly, their bodies leaning toward each other not for comfort, but for balance, their suitcases placed neatly at their feet as if they still believed someone was coming back for them. There was something painfully final about the way they waited, and in that moment, Marcus felt his chest tighten with a feeling he couldn't name. Before we go deeper into this story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles that happen when people least expect them, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Spark. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. Marcus Hale had not planned for kindness that day. He was a single father doing his best to survive December on a warehouse supervisor's paycheck, counting every dollar and measuring every step against exhaustion. Since his wife passed away 3 years earlier, life had become a careful balancing act of school pickups, late shifts, and silent nights, where grief crept in once his son fell asleep. Christmas Eve was supposed to be simple this year. He had promised his son Noah a modest dinner and a borrowed tree from a neighbor. There were no wrapped gifts waiting at home, only effort and intention, which Marcus hoped would be enough. As they crossed the parking lot in the pale winter sun, Marcus glanced again at the elderly couple. The man wore a faded brown coat with frayed cuffs, his posture proud despite the tremor in his hands. The woman's grey hair was carefully pinned back, her scarf neatly tucked, her eyes fixed on the road as if she was searching for a familiar car. They didn't look homeless. They looked forgotten. Marcus felt the same instinct he always tried to suppress rise in him, the one that urged him to help even when he barely had enough for himself. He told himself to keep walking. He had Noah to think about. But Noah tugged gently at his hand, slowing his steps, his gaze fixed on the couple. The boy's face carried that quiet seriousness children sometimes have when they sense something adults are trying to ignore. Marcus followed his son's eyes and saw that the woman was shivering, her hands clasped together tightly, the man rubbing her arms in a slow, repetitive motion, as if that small gesture was all he could offer. Marcus stopped. Time felt stretched, the sounds of traffic dull and distant. He remembered his own parents, gone now, and the fear he once had of growing old alone. He remembered the promises people make and break, especially around holidays, when expectations are high and patience is thin. Without fully deciding to, Marcus turned back. He approached them slowly, his voice calm, his posture open, though there was no dialogue to capture the heaviness of the moment, only the exchange of glances and understanding. The elderly man looked up first, surprise flickering across his face, followed by something like relief mixed with embarrassment. The woman's eyes softened, as if she had been waiting for someone, anyone, to acknowledge their presence. Marcus learned their names through gentle gestures and written notes offered on a small notepad the man carried. They were Harold and Estelle Whitman, married for 52 years, visiting town to spend Christmas with their only son. As the story unfolded through fragments and expressions, Marcus understood what had happened. Their son had arrived earlier that morning, picked them up from the bus station, and brought them to his apartment. But an argument erupted over space, over old grievances that had never healed. By afternoon, the son had driven them back to the bus stop, promising to return with tickets for the next bus. Hours passed. The daylight dimmed. No bus came. No son returned. Marcus felt anger rise, hot and sharp, but it quickly gave way to something heavier. He looked at the couple's thin coats, the small suitcase that held their entire holiday, and then at Noah, who stood quietly beside him, absorbing everything. Marcus realized that whatever decision he made next would be one his son would remember forever. The bus schedule posted nearby showed no more departures until the next morning. The temperature was dropping fast. Marcus's mind raced through excuses and reasons not to get involved, but none of them felt strong enough to outweigh what he was seeing. He thought of the empty chair at his own table, the way silence filled his apartment like cold air. He thought of Christmas not as a date on the calendar, but as a choice people made about how to treat one another. He offered them what little he could at first, warm coffee from a nearby shop, half of the sandwich he had bought for himself. But even as he did, he knew it wasn't enough. Leaving them there felt impossible. Bringing them home felt reckless, yet something inside him settled the moment the idea formed, as if his heart had already decided. Marcus gestured toward his old sedan and then toward his Cheston home, explaining through simple motions and written words that they could stay with him for the night. The couple exchanged looks, hesitation clear in their faces. Pride doesn't fade with age, but the cold was winning, and Marcus's sincerity left no room for suspicion. Slowly, gratefully, they accepted. The drive home was quiet, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the road. Noah sat in the back, wide-eyed, watching the couple with curiosity and care. Marcus felt nervous, unsure how this would unfold, but also strangely lighter, as if doing the right thing eased a burden he hadn't known he was carrying.